Hey guys, welcome back to Jesus Will Works, the podcast. I don't know how we got here, but somehow we're at the very last episode of the season. So this is episode 7 of 7, which is super exciting. And what a season it has been on the theme of Sunday School Band, Doubt Welcome. We've looked at so many different topics. And if you haven't checked them out yet, check them out in a thumbnail that's somewhere here. Today, we're going to be looking at the so-called resurgence of young people wanting to follow Jesus and whether or not this is actually sustainable. What's really drawing young people in? Is it the message of Jesus himself, the institution, or something else? So, for this entire season, I've scoured the country to bring you the best and most interesting minds. And today, for the final episode, I am joined by an amazing person called Angie.
Yay!
So, hi, Angie.
Hi, Alex.
Angie is just like one of the coolest people that I've met. She currently works at a church and heads up things like Alpha and groups and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, she's just. I don't think it's an introduction I could do that would do you justice.
That's a great
but
one. No,
I've tried. Yeah. Would you want to add anything?
No, I think you nailed it. I work and then I go home.
Amazing. So how are you today? How's your day been?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really good. I had a little bit of a Subway cookie on the way here.
Lovely.
Strong.
Flavour?
Snack game. Flavour. Chocolate chip. Is there any other flavour?
No. I mean, there are in the shop, but there isn't.
No.
No is the correct answer. So, question time to start off with.
Okay.
If you could travel to any era, ever, and it can't be the era when Jesus was alive, which one would you travel to?
This is very random, but the prairie era. At least let me get it out. You know, they like lived in log cabins. They were like no doctors or like there's nothing to do.
That's a bit of you.
They would just like cook on like one stove all day and like make bread.
Now I know their food had no seasoning.
It had nothing. Come on, we all know.
One,
Butter, and that was it.
One stove.
One stove. That's all you need. That's all they needed.
All right then. Fair enough. I think I would travel to. The first thing I thought was the dinosaurs, but like that's really.
What? There's not even a stove there. Why would you want to go there?
Just to like see what was going on, but that's not a smart.
Okay.
That's
yeah. No, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's not a clever idea.
I would never do that, but I get that.
The prairie, yes. The dinosaurs draws the line.
Too far.
I feel like maybe before Apple was made, then I'd make it.
What?
That's my final answer.
Okay, that was a good one.
Thank you. And next up, the most embarrassing Google search you did recently.
Okay. It's not that embarrassing, but like every few weeks I Google how to make pancakes because I just can't retain the information. It's really hard. So like, I don't know, like is there butter, like, I know there's eggs.
It's just egg, flour, milk.
Yeah, but is there well, I Google it every 3 weeks and I'm like, I still don't know.
Pancake game should be strong then.
It should be, and they always come out nasty. They always, every recipe always wrong.
Just get the pancake mix that's made in a bottle.
Just add water.
Just add water.
Yeah, I need to do that. I need to do that. That's a good life hack, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks.
4 days ago, I Googled how to turn the washing machine on. I'm really just out here exposing myself. But in my defense, I don't do the washing at home. So my job is the dishwasher, which I do like really diligently.
You can't save this one.
No,
To be in my defense.
just hear me out.
Okay, sorry.
And when I was at uni,
Yeah.
then it didn't operate with a button. It operated on my phone, and I just clicked one, and then I pressed go and put a tablet in, and then it worked. So I always get confused how to turn the washing machine on, but it was more specifically how, like, which of the, the little holes.
No.
You know,
I'm joking.
which one goes in which?
Because that is hard.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
And then once I figured that out, which I actually did by myself without Google,
then you turned it on?
Then I couldn't figure out how to turn it on, so I asked Google.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a judgment-free zone. It starts now.
I know, I'm so sorry.
It's wifey material. I thought it's given, but you know.
Well, it is now. Well done.
So, I feel like when talking about the number of young people deciding to be Christian nowadays.
What a segue. How do I turn my washing machine on? Yes, talking about young people.
You don't need to be good at washing in order to run a podcast.
You do not.
Life hacks.
Yes.
So people use a lot of R words, such
Yes.
as revival and resurgence,
Yeah.
etc.
Right.
Breaking those down, what they mean is back in the day, let's say 100 years ago, the number of young people going to church was up here and now it's down here, but all of a sudden it's going back up.
Yeah.
So over the years it's fallen, and now it's starting to increase again. So there's a lot of talk of young people wanting to follow Jesus, but one that I think is often paired with a lot of skepticism about church institutions and just like faith, religion generally. In your experience, what do you think young people are drawn to? So do you think it's the message of Jesus or something else entirely?
It's a good question. I think it's definitely the message of Jesus, but more than that, like the person of Jesus. I think people are like now more than ever looking for authenticity. Like they want something real, they want something tangible, and they want something relevant. And I think that people are like searching for meaning in everything right now. And I think people are starting to realize or maybe consider that actually meaning can be found in Jesus, which is radical and amazing and courageous, but it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting.
Why do you think it's young people particularly?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think there's like a growing sense of like openness to like spirituality. I feel like, I don't know how you feel, but in the last couple of years, I feel like I've met more people who say they are spiritual than I've ever met before. Like people are very much in tune with like the universe, or it might be karma, or it might just be a sense that like there's something else out there. And I think like people don't have the misconceptions of church and institutions that older generations have, like the rising generation. Like it's almost like a clean slate, like a reset. People are like, oh, okay, well, this is who this God says he is. All right, maybe I'm open. Let me see. Is it real? Let me see.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I think I was a shameless plug for episode 1 as well, by the way, about spirituality. So check that one out. But I do think that this generation definitely wants authenticity, definitely wants genuineness and connection.
Yeah.
And, you know, you meet people and it's like, oh, like, I'm going to do this, but then their actions don't reflect their words. But then you meet, like, Jesus, when you hear about him, and it's like, he says, I'm going to heal this man, and he heals this man. He says, I'm off, but, like, guys, I'm back in 3 days, and he's back in 3 days. And it's like, whoa, like, intentionality, like, actions matching words, like, it's quite refreshing, I think.
It is refreshing, you're right. That's a good word, yeah.
I didn't ask you your faith background in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, so I grew up in a Christian family, very much involved in church, wasn't interested, wasn't offended either, just like very like, meh, great for you, not for me. And went through that kind of like crisis that we all do, where I just like got to a stage where I was like, but why am I here? And like, who am I? And to be vulnerable, like, is there a reason that I'm here? Like, am I an accident? Am I here for a purpose?
Definitely not an accident.
And I was, thank you, friend. Healing wounds. Yeah, just ask God, like, if you are real, they think you are. Like, show me for me. And the rest is history.
Fair. So would like mini you be surprised that you now is working in the church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old time me would be like in the back, in like an office somewhere where I would never have to talk to anyone, and just like would never just like get up, go to work, go home and cry and watch like sad movies and be like, will I ever be something? Will I ever be me?
And I think that's like a real but that's a real crisis as well, like that a lot of young people have, I think. Yeah. Especially like every time you turn the news on, it's just really like bleak and everything that's happening in the world. It's kind of like, what is the point of like life? Yeah. And I think that, yeah, like for me, having a faith and like believing in Jesus definitely gave me that, okay, there's a purpose and minus like the metrics and achievements and etc., it's like
Yeah.
God doesn't care about those. Like he's happy that you've got them, but like even if you didn't have any of them, he'd still want you.
Yeah.
And that was like, whoa, I don't have to do anything to earn this love.
Yes.
And I was like, phew.
That is mind-blowing, isn't it? Because isn't that so countercultural? Because you have to work for everything
Yeah.
in life. You have to earn everything. Nothing's free.
Yeah, like everything's transactional,
Yeah.
but he's not transactional.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
And I love what you were saying about like identity, I guess, because I think there's just so many voices telling us all the time who we are or who we should be or who we should think we are. And I think one of the things that the rising generation is like really discovering is that Jesus says, no, I say who you are and you're enough. And that's like, I don't know, how do you feel about that? Because that's pretty big, isn't it?
I feel pretty good. It's like it's feeling like warm inside as you just tell me that I'm enough from Jesus. Thank you. But no, I think honestly, like a lot of people haven't heard like someone say to them, "You are enough." Like you are enough minus this amazing job that you have. You are enough regardless of whatever figures in your bank account.
Yeah.
You are enough regardless of whether you have a partner.
Yeah.
Just like you are enough. Full stop.
Yeah, just as you are.
Yeah, like even on your worst days, you're
good.
still his best.
Oh, Alex. Yeah, so amazing. It's true. And I think that's, like you said, refreshing for people.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure, like when I was younger, that would have been a thing that I was like, pfft. Like my 13 to 21 was like so far from Christianity, so far from caring about that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's one of those things that just hits you. Like there's a song that's called Reckless Love that I really like. And it's just like, he's like chasing after you. It's like, in theory, sounds kind of scary. But like when I look at my life, I'm like, yeah, you actually had to, because like I was on the other side, like just having fun, just enjoying stuff. But like obviously I look at it now and I'm like, how much fun was I actually having? How happy was I actually?
That's a big one.
But yeah, I feel like if you're going to take the leap, if you're going to question, like, why not? Because like life is questions.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going to be on the other side. But for my friends, I'd always say to them, like, if you're going to tell me that you don't think God exists, then like, what's your reasoning?
Back it up.
Yeah. And I know my friends dislike that.
Do they not like that question?
No. I mean, just generally, I'm up for a little debate all the time, like on any topic, almost any topic.
What's off limits?
Sometimes Taylor Swift.
Oh.
Because I love Taylor Swift.
Okay, you're a stan. Okay, yeah.
And like, you know, she is, I say she's the backbone of the music industry.
Oh gosh. And that's not debatable.
They want to disagree. We're going to be here for hours. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have listened to her entire discography.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's a lot of songs.
Exactly.
She's been singing for like 10 years.
So to just cut it off, I'm
Okay.
just like off limits.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but with
I
every other
respect your
thing,
boundaries. Yeah.
thank you. And like a lot of people have like been to uni, or at least like they've been to school
Yeah.
or some kind of like formal education. So I'm like, you're used to having to back up a point. Like you can't just say like, no, I don't agree with that. Full stop. Like in a situation like that, you actually need to defend your point. So I'm like, if you're gonna ask me questions, and I'm always open to that. Like I have friends who aren't Christian, different religions, atheists, etc. And they're like, oh, like what's this? Like this doesn't make sense. Like blah blah blah. I'm happy to defend my point, or like always hear you out, defend my point, say what I have to say. But like in the same way, if you're telling me this, definitely doesn't exist. This thing that you believe is stupid. Why? And I think in that pursuit, sometimes some of them end up changing their minds or finding out things that they didn't think they would at first.
Yeah, like reframing like why they think that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there are a lot of people who might define themselves as Christian or be Christians who don't go to church or somewhere, anywhere on that spectrum or outside of it. Why do you think that the institution of Christianity and the idea of belonging to a church can sometimes feel like something that's scary to people? And then follow up, like, what would you do to help with that? What would you suggest? I'm asking you a lot of questions.
Yeah, no.
What would you suggest if you were speaking to someone who was like, oh, I want to go to church, but I don't know how to start? What would you say to them?
That's a really good set of questions. I think the truth is that church religion just definitely has like connotations of like rules and judgment, if we're going to be honest, and shame. And so actually like it's hard to invite people to church sometimes because it feels like you're like wading through like years of like misconceptions about God, because people have this idea of like what the church should be or should have been or hasn't been. But I feel like it's very cliche, but it, you know, what is faith about? Is it about a set of rules, or is it about a relationship? Is it about a God that sees you, just like you were saying, just as you are, and loves you and created you to be with you? And I think framing it like that and being like you do with your friends, like, well, see what you think. Come along. Love it. Hate it. Let's debate it. Let's argue. Let's go to the pub after and be like, tell me all the reasons why you're not coming back. But give it a go. Like, what have you got to lose?
Yeah.
And I think people actually are much more open than they've ever have been. Like, people, there's just finding that nowadays there's not even that barrier as much anymore. People are very open to be like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. Why not?
Yeah. And I think there's that like stat about how many people would go to church if invited by a friend.
Yeah.
It's like, when was the last time you invited a friend to church? Let's do it. See what happens.
Now more than ever, people are more likely more than ever to come along, which is so cool.
Yeah.
There's a girl that I know, a friend that she was invited by a mate at uni. They were like in the canteen having some food, and he was going to church that week, and he was like, oh, why don't you come along? And she was like, yeah, like I think I'm like super spiritual. I'm in touch with the earth. Why not? Yeah, I think there could be something. So she came along, and she had this like just what you could only describe as like an encounter with God, which sounds super intense, but it was just like an awareness that actually maybe God might exist and might love her. And it like changed, like it's changed everything for her. And that was just one moment, one invite where she decided to like try church and come along. And it's just amazing to see like how her life is like transformed. Just that little bit of openness and that little invite. And you never know what could happen.
Yeah, that's super cool. You help with Alpha at the church that you work at. What are some of the cool stories that you've seen from that, or cool questions that like people have asked you when they've come for like maybe the first time?
I mean, it's like such a privilege to be involved in anything where people are walking in off the street to try and explore faith. And we're just seeing some like just incredible stuff. Like I could bore you with like 35 different stories. I won't, but like it's just just amazing. The level of openness and the fact that people are willing to like explore a little bit. There's one girl I'm thinking about who has like no faith background, no ties to church. Her family do not even pray, at Christmas at the dinner table. Like they would never go anywhere near that. And she's like got a really good life. Like she's, as you would say, she's successful. She's got a really good job. She's like a team leader. She's married. She's just bought a house. Everything looks great.
Yeah.
She's happy. But she was searching for more.
Mm.
She was convinced that maybe like there was more to life, and she would be like searching through self-help books. She'd read she would go through like the top bestseller like self-help books and just like inhale them, but couldn't find anything to like satisfy that. And she remembered she had a dream that like of this like old church that she used to go to, and opposite there was like a banner for like Alpha and Exploring Faith. So she came along, and within a few weeks she decided like, this is it.
Wow.
This is what I've been searching for years. And everything in my life looks great, but I know that there's more. And she like discovered the person of Jesus and was absolutely convinced that that is who she'd been searching for years. She couldn't have been farther from the church than you could ever imagine a person to be.
Yeah.
And it was just like stories like that, story after story. It's just amazing to see. It's like beautiful.
That's so cool. I love that. And I think, yeah, like God is like moving. Obviously he's kind of doing something now. I think one of the things that you said earlier stuck with me, about like basically what I thought was Christians don't like they don't seem the same as they did back in the day, i.e. the taboos or misconceptions that people had about what a Christian looked like or what they were like isn't the same as now.
We're more of a vibe now.
Yeah, kind of hip in that.
Oh yeah.
So because I remember like having a conversation with some of my friends at athletics when I was at uni,
Yeah.
and they were like, oh, like, what's that, like, thing around your neck? And I was like, oh, it's a cross. And they were like, oh, you're like, it's like stylish, or like, I was like, well, it is stylish, thank you. But
I'll take that.
yeah, I was like, I am Christian. And they were like, what? Like, you still like have fun, like you're normal. Exactly.
Yes!
The amount, I think I've actually, if I had a pound for every time someone told me I was normal finding out I was Christian, I think I'd have like £6.
That's
like,
a compliment though, mate.
thank you.
It could go the other way.
I'd be like, oh yeah. Like £6 isn't a crazy amount, but it's still, you know, it's interesting because it's happened 6 times. So I'm kind of like, I think that just shows that most people who are Christian are 100% open to like having conversations and, you know, seeing another person's point of view. That's also another thing that surprised, like I had a colleague who called herself a protest atheist, who I spoke about before. So she's very much like on the other side of like, I'm so like anti-Jesus, and I was like, cool. Like one of my really good friends actually, and I remember we had a conversation once, and I was like, oh, like why? And then she was like, oh, and she like started like going off on like why she didn't like Jesus, and I was just like, okay. And afterwards she was like, are you not gonna like butt in? And I was like, no, like you're talking, like. And I think she was just surprised that like, you know, the fact that we could just have this conversation and like still be friends afterwards. I was like, it's not like a cut off thing.
No.
But yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing. I think the church overall is becoming more open.
Yes.
It definitely does have a way to go in terms of judgment, shame and things like that. But I think slowly it's getting there. And obviously that's a change that's like within each individual as well. Like making up people. Yeah.
And I want to say, like, the church is, like, we don't want to bash the church, because the church, no institution is perfect. But, like, if we look at the godly, like, description of what a church is, if we look in the Bible, like, we are the church.
Yeah.
You and me gathered, like, this is the church.
Do we start singing now?
Oh, we lost the normal thing now. But, like, we are the church. So, like, that's super exciting, because as you said, like the more open we are as people, as Christians, as people that have any kind of faith, like the more people feel like they can be honest, they can be themselves.
Yeah. Do you think that the revival, resurgence, etc., do you think it can continue?
Mate, I hope so. I hope so. I think it's never looked better for the church, to be honest, and for people and for what God is doing. Like, it's never looked better. And in all honesty, it kind of feels like God is like cutting the middleman out of it. Like, people are walking into church off the street having had dreams, which sounds wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to explain that.
But we all dream about stuff, right? So like you say like, oh, don't have cheese too late at night because I'm not true.
Nightmares if you have cheese, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I have cheese all the time, to be fair.
Do you have nightmares?
No.
Okay.
But like we all, whether we're aware of it or not, like scientifically, I think I think it is a fact that we all dream, whether we're aware or not. And like we believe as Christians that God speaks to us through like all different ways, whether we're awake or sometimes even when we're asleep in a dream. And so we're finding that people are like being drawn to church, having never been into church before, having had no family or friends that have would consider themselves to be Christians or even have a faith. People are feeling drawn to explore Jesus specifically, to see if he's real. And I think people are searching for truth. And so I think if you look back through history, people have always been searching for truth. And so I don't know if we need to think like, oh, like it's going to change, it's going to slow down. If anything, if we believe that Jesus is true and he loves us and that's why he died for us, because he wants to be with us, then hopefully we would pray that like that truth is just magnified and it grows. So I don't know. Nobody predicted that this would be happening. So I feel like you never know, like whatever God wants to do, he wants to reveal himself. I feel like he wants to show people that he's good. He's not hateful. He's not evil. He's not angry. Like he is fun.
Yeah.
Like he created all things. He's a creative God. So like yeah, I hope that it continues.
Yeah, me too.
If
Stay
I'm not
tuned.
asking you
Let's
any
see what
questions,
happens.
I'm
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Do you have anything you want to ask me?
I do.
Oh, that's scary.
No, like you were talking about that period of your life between 13 and 21. And there's like no pressure to like share anything, but I'd love to know like how it feels now, like having a faith in Jesus and knowing how you felt back then, because you said like you thought you were happy, but maybe you weren't.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Switch the. I'll give you these. No, it's cool. Yeah, it's definitely completely different. And when I look back at me then, I'm like, I don't recognize myself like at all.
Wow.
I had a lot more interest in like going out. I had a lot more interest in just doing things that like weren't good for me. Just like staying up late, just going clubbing, like drinking, hanging out with like people who weren't the best people type thing. But also I just remember feeling a lot of pressure all the time, which is very interesting because I don't have any pressure from my family. Like they've always been very low key. Like I said to my mom, I want to go to Oxford, and my mom was like, oh, like why? Like I never had that like must go, you must do this. Like I started running track and field and I said to my mom I want to go to the Olympics, and she was like, oh, okay, why? Like so like this is the most relaxed woman you've ever met. Amazing. So it's like, oh, I need to be here at this time, and she's like, okay, then you know, there's never been that. I'd come back from competitions and be like, oh, I did so terribly, like I'm never gonna run again, and my mom would be like, it's a bit dramatic, isn't it? Like she's never pushed me to do anything but always just been like my biggest cheerleader on the side. But between that time period, I just remember always feeling like, oh, I need to get into this university. And if I don't get in, I don't know what's going to happen to me. And I need to go here and I need to achieve this. I need to do that. I need to have this career and earn X amount of money and drive this car and all that stuff. And one of the things that I was very like fortunate and incredibly grateful to have like had so many opportunities to do different things. Some of those bucket list things got ticked off, like getting into the university I wanted to go to and still being able to run at a high level and stuff. But it seemed during that period that the more I achieved, the more I wanted to achieve, and the more I achieved, the less fulfilled I felt. It was like, okay, I've done this and now what? Like I remember telling one of my friends that on A-level results day, I went and collected my A-levels, sat next to my teacher. She was like, oh, I wonder, da 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 da. I was like, I know you've seen my results already.
You know.
I was like, did I get in or not? Like I remember she was like trying to do this awkward like small talk. I was like, did I get in or not? She was like, yeah, you got in. I was like, okay. Looked at my results and I went out and told my mom, showed her. She was so happy. She was like, what do you want to do now? And I remember I just looked at her and I was like, I just want to go to bed. And my mom was like, what? She was like, you just got into Oxford. Do you want to go to bed? I was like, yeah. We did go around and like she made me go and see family and stuff. But I remember in that moment when my teacher said to me, like, yeah, you've gotten in, this thing that I'd put on such a pedestal for so long, the only emotion I felt was relief.
Wow.
And it wasn't until 3 years later when I was living abroad as part of my year abroad that I told one of my friends that out in France, and she was like, let's go and celebrate. And we went to a wine bar, and it was 3 years after responsibly. And it was 3 years after I achieved that dream that I actually celebrated it, because after every single like impossible goal or target that I set myself, the only thing I felt was relief. Like, oh, you've done it, thank goodness. But it didn't bring me any validation or any happiness. Becoming a Christian was like a breath of fresh air for me, because I broke my ankle like right before I got baptized, basically. So had to wait for the baptism a bit because casts and water don't work. Washed clean, but not from here down. Do you know what I mean? So we waited, but that happened, and I remember I still had a bit of that, like, oh, like who am I without being an athlete? And that was like just before I was about to get baptized. And then when I was praying and speaking to God and all this kind of stuff, I was just like, oh, he actually like doesn't care that like if I never stepped on a track again, big man would not care. Like if I never handed in another test, he would not be bothered. Like obviously now the things that I do and the things that I want to achieve, it's for a different purpose. So I view things as like, okay, I can still be ambitious and I can still want to do X, Y, Z, but when I do that, how is that giving back to God? How am I using this gift? How am I showcasing the talent that he's given me? How is it furthering his kingdom with what I'm doing? So essentially less me and more him, but also by not having to put all that pressure on myself, going into something like this podcast, for example, and being like, I hope it reaches a decent amount of people. I hope that people enjoy it, etc., etc. But then I can release it without having to check every 10 seconds, like, oh, has anyone watched it? Because in becoming a Christian, I can also surrender the outcome to him.
Oh, that's so good, Alex, because you haven't stopped creating. You haven't stopped being excellent or doing what you're created to do, but you're just not driven. You just don't feel like you need to be validated by like how it goes. That's so powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. It reminds me of this like student that I met that's been exploring faith over the last couple of years. And he's been doing an MBA. He came from like a family who'd like never been to uni, and so he was like the first family in generations that he'd like gone to uni. And he was doing an MBA, and he was so driven. And then one of his friends invited him to church, and he just went on this journey with God where he like discovered for himself that like he was enough. And he didn't stop doing his MBA. He hasn't stopped like pursuing his dreams, but he would say that like he has more peace than he's ever had.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't feel like he has to earn anything. And if he fails, he fails. If he succeeds, he succeeds. But like he knows that he's good.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of that because that's just like so exciting. And I think that's countercultural because like people are not living like that.
No.
Especially in your generation. Like how does that feel when you think about your friends? Like how do your friends, what drives them? Do you feel like they are where you were or?
Yeah, I think for sure. I see a lot of myself in a lot of my friends. Some of them it's parental pressure, some of them it's culture, some of them it's just this idea that I guess was more like what I had of, you know, you've had this opportunity, you've been here, you should do this by this age, X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think also tell your friends you're proud of them every so often. Even if they just haven't done anything, it's nice.
So nice.
And like this kind of mindset that I've been able to develop as a result of being a Christian also extends further than just like other achievements. So being vulnerable. I went on a date, a couple dates like a month ago. Yeah.
Tell me everything.
It's
off camera.
No, it's a no.
Oh.
Yeah. But
okay.
it was with a guy who was Christian. And yeah, I met him in Oxford. He was really lovely. Nice. We like spoke about, you know, Jesus, life, etc. And then he basically ghosted me, which was unfortunate. However, back in the day, I would definitely be like, oh, like, you know, we've been speaking for like, what, 3-4 weeks. So I guess you'd call it a situationship.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I'd be like, oh, like this happened. And then I'd be like pining over it and be like, oh, like, what's wrong with me? And that would be some like crazy radical hairstyle or like a nail colour change or like half the wardrobe gets thrown out and now we're on a trip to Zara or something like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with this one, I kind of just like, I sent him a message just being like, oh, it's a shame that like, you know, this didn't work out exactly. Like I was really enjoying getting to know you and whatever.
Oh, you're so nice.
But then after, like, I was sad, sure, for like literally 2 or 3 hours or something. And in that, I just said to God, like, God, this really sucks because like I really liked him and I wanted to see like where it went and what might have happened.
Yeah.
But then the next morning I woke up and like knowing myself, because this is like the first date that I've been on since I became a Christian. So knowing myself from back in the day, I like cleared my calendar. I was like to my friends, you're not seeing me. Like day 1, Ben and Jerry's. Day 2, Netflix. Day 3, maybe a walk. Like it usually takes me...
maybe a walk.
Maybe the outside sees me. It usually takes me quite a while to recover from these things.
To emerge,
because I'm quite an emotional person. So I get relatively like, not like invested in that sense, but like I feel it on a deep level, you know?
Yeah.
But this one, so I woke up in the morning and I was like... And I was just like, oh, I actually feel okay. And then I just carried on my day. And then the next day I felt okay. And then the day after that I felt even more okay. And then I was just fine. And a lot of my friends, also knowing me, were like, how you doing? And I was like, I'm actually all right. I was like, honestly, I'm just more baffled by like the conversations we had and the fact that he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not like sad. I'm not resentful. Like I genuinely just felt peace with it. And I think that that's another side of being a Christian that comes with it, because I know that my worth is in God and I know that any guy that I end up with
Yeah.
will, chase me with the intentionality of Jesus and pursue me the same way that God pursued the church. So I know...
Yes, as he should.
Because I know what that love feels like, I know what a guy's love should feel like when that happens. So without that, like without those things being there, I was like, oh, that's fine then. That's like, obviously that's someone else's husband. So like, let me not let me not hold him. Like, do you know what I mean?
Did you hear that, man? He's a standard, okay? Bring it in, but hit that standard, all right?
Yeah. But that was a really crazy thing for me because that's never happened to me before. So
Amazing.
I was like, obviously this peace extends everywhere, which is, thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
It's quite nice. So back in the day, I used to think the Bible was really outdated and kind of, this Jesus guy is interesting, but like this book needs to be updated because it's not fitting. That's not my actual review anymore.
The views in this podcast don't reflect the views of everyone
Don't reflect current reviews. Yeah, it was a good notes 1 star back in the day. But what would you say to someone who maybe is thinking the way that I used to think? That was like, Jesus is interesting, Christianity looks great, I'd be interested in following him, but the stuff that's in this book, it doesn't relate to me in my day-to-day life and it's not modern.
That's a really good one. I mean, the Bible is kind of old, to be fair.
Full stop. That's the end.
But the amazing thing about it is it still seems to be super relevant given how old it is, given that it's about this guy who lived 2,000 years ago. And I saw a statistic that said YouVersion, which is one of the most popular apps to read the Bible, just went over 1 billion streams.
Ooh.
And that's online. You can still buy the Bible in paper form. So that's billions of Bibles that are still being read. Why? There must be something in it that is more than what you might expect it to be, an old ancient text.
Yeah. And
I think I felt the same as you. Why would it be relevant? I felt that way about faith as well. But then when I met, this sounded very strange, but when I experienced that actually God could be real, then the Bible became real for me as well. And the thing about the Bible is that it gives us the opportunity to learn about Jesus, the person of Jesus, what he did, what he said, where he went, who his mates were, what happened to them. It was a bit...
Some of them, yeah.
I know, yeah. But the story of who Jesus is and who we are as God's people is all there. And the truth about why we're here is all there. So it's a really interesting text. It's got poetry and there's proverbs and there's narrative. It's all different. It's it's beautiful, but it's old.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that people are putting it down. If anything, they're picking it up more than they ever have been, which makes you think, what is in it?
Yeah.
Why?
Check it out.
Yeah. Read it for yourself.
Yeah. And then you see a lot of people go from maybe seeing God as this big figure, but then when I used to hear Christians speak, they talk about this personal relationship with God, and I'd see people calling him father or calling him brother or friend. How do you...
It's quite a lot of that.
How would you explain moving from seeing God as this big kind of removed person to seeing him as a friend and getting this personal relationship? How did you get there, and what would you suggest to people who were considering how do I make that connection?
That's a really good one. I think that I think that the way that I see God now is not the way that I saw or thought God would be growing up. And I think I very much believed growing up that if there was a God out there, he was probably upset with me. I probably wasn't doing enough of whatever I should be doing. I was probably failing and I was never going to succeed. And, maybe did he even care? Because there's loads of people that he's probably also focused on. And I think that exploring Jesus as the human representation of God and learning about him and praying which sounds strange, but it's basically just having a conversation, sometimes with your eyes closed, has really like helped me to like experience God for myself as more than an idea. And I think that the thing about Christianity that sets it apart from any other faith or religion or belief system is that the God that the Christian God describes comes down to meet us. So we don't have to climb up. We don't have to do anything to reach him. We could never really reach him. He came down to find us, and the first thing he did was spend time with people. Like when Jesus is described in the Bible, he's always like having food with people and walking around with people and talking with people and praying for people. Why would he do that? What does that say about the kind of God that he is? And I think like, I would just say like, pray. If you think that God could be real, what have you got to lose in asking out into the universe somewhere? Like, God, if you are real, show me. And what does that mean for me? What does it mean for my life and for why I'm here? That's the thing I did. I just prayed. And I had no idea if anything would change. But I'm so glad that it did. Because I'm just a completely different person in the best possible way. Like, I'm still me, but I know that I'm here for a reason. And I know that I'm loved. And just like you were saying, like, I know I can never lose that love. Like, in relationships nowadays, it feels like you can get it wrong and then you can be thrown away. But, like, God promises never to do that.
He won't throw you away.
I'm so glad. So glad.
But I love what you said about us not having to climb up to get to him as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever been to Italy, but for our
I don't know
art
if you've
lovers,
ever been. The shade. The shade. Yes, I have actually. Okay, I went for 3 days.
Where'd you go?
I went to Rome.
Hey, okay, perfect. Did you go to Sistine Chapel?
Probs. It was a while ago.
Okay, so people are art lovers out there. The Sistine Chapel.
What? Out there?
Are you an art lover?
No. Sorry.
What's the indignation?
Just offended, okay? Continue.
So you know that the hands reaching.
Yes, I do know that.
So
yeah.
I've seen that. The first time I saw that, I was like on some random guy's like arm, and I was like, "Yo, what's that?" And he was like, "I don't know, it looks cool." But that was my first encounter, and then I saw it in the Sistine Chapel, and I was like, "Oh, it's really famous."
That's
and then I looked it up,
yeah.
and you should look it up. You should look it up. But I just love the fact that it's kind of, it just encapsulates what you're saying about how God pursues us and how much he wants us and how he came down to meet us and find us. Because you've got like Adam, he's the guy depicted. He's kind of just there like on his thing and he's like, like I'll kind of, like I'll put my hand up maybe, but like I'm not really trying. And like he's just so unconcerned and unbothered.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have God on the other hand, like literally stretching down, reaching as far as he can to try and touch him. And it's like obviously that like just shows like, the difference between us, like whether or not we're like, God, I love you so much, or God, I don't even know who you are, or I don't believe in you, and I don't care. He's still pursuing each and every one of us with that same intensity. Yeah. And like when I saw that on Sistine Chapel, I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Check the photo and go to Rome.
Because we've been.
Maybe we'll do a competition where we like send a viewer to Rome. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be epic. Can I go? I haven't been. I've never been.
You're not a viewer anymore. You're a guest. Oh yeah. So a big one I've discussed at length is people who would be open to exploring faith is they have gotten to the point of opening the Bible, but then they're like, this is not feminist literature.
Yikes.
The Bible. The Bible is not for women. Thoughts?
Oh gosh. I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
So? I totally relate to that though, because I remember growing up, not that long ago, but I remember like, feeling like, where am I in this? There's a lot of he's. A lot of man's in here. Where's the women's? But when you actually, if you were actually going to study it and look at it and look at the representation of women, you would be surprised, I think. There's a couple of things that always stands out to me. Firstly, like we believe that Jesus died on a cross, he was crucified, and then he rose again. He beat death. Yay, so exciting. And he revealed himself to a few people before he disappeared again. And the first people he revealed himself to were women. If we think about nowadays, I think men and women are a lot more equal than they were like back in the day. And in that day, if you wanted to prove anything as truth, you would never use a woman. Nobody was ever going to believe it. So why did he do that? Why were the first people to preach, to tell that Jesus was alive? Why would they be women? Why would God choose to do that? It's really interesting. And then when you think about as well, like Jesus being born, he chose to come into the world as a baby. And he was born to a couple that weren't married. Again, like nowadays, like thankfully, the stigma is not like awful. But back then, if you were like an unmarried woman and you were engaged and you just rock up and turn up like 7 months pregnant and the wedding isn't for another year, people are going to be like, what? You know? Like, why would he choose to be born into basically scandal? Like a god would never choose. He'd be born in a palace with like a massive family that everyone respected. He wouldn't be born in a stable with a woman who would never be respected by people. So like that tells you that maybe the God of the Bible wanted to challenge the preconceptions of who people thought women were, their value, their worth, and what their words actually meant. Because the fact that women preached for the first time in the Bible is like wild. It's so crazy. So like on the face of it, it can look pretty dire, but when you actually look at it, there's some radical stuff in there.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'd agree. Love the examples. I think Esther, the book of Esther, like you have an entire nation essentially saved by a woman.
Yes.
Which is crazy. And I read something yesterday, and I can't remember it exactly, so I'll link it like below. But it was like the word for rib. So when God said, "I'll send you a helper," and it was like ether or whatever it is, that word was only used 14 times. A lot of the times that it was used for either Jesus or the Holy Spirit in the Bible. So he thought so highly of women that he used that word to say, "I'm going to give you this."
Yeah.
So I think God's a girl dad.
Yes.
But no, I think on the surface you can obviously look at things and be like, oh, this is like not for women. This is like anti-feminist type thing. But I think if you actually like look at it, like with some of these examples and just looking at it, remembering as well that it was written 2,000 years ago, then, you know, we had like Deborah, one of the first preachers in the Bible, very important role.
Yeah.
Like there are women who have super
There's
important roles.
There's a load of women in there, man.
Yeah. It's full of women.
Yes. Too many, not joking.
And they're really respected in that, and they play these massive roles that if you, as you said, if you thought about the time period they were in, women should have been written out of the Bible completely, really.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, God said, no, they're in here. They're here to stay.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So good.
And then going back to the resurgence and revival period we're in, what would you do if you were the leader of a church to encourage people to keep coming into church and keep asking questions? This can be anything. You've got unlimited money.
I would say like be as creative as possible and remove any boundary that you possibly can. So one of the things I love to think about is like if you were walking into any space for the first time, but especially a church, what would make you feel comfortable? If you were to walk into like a really cold, dark room where there was like no one there to meet you and you just like sat on your own and nobody... One stove. And like nobody said hi to you and the service probably wasn't very fun, then like it's kind of hard for that to really show Jesus, like who he is, and it's kind of hard for people to want to come back to that. So I would say like one of the things I really admire about churches at the moment, a lot of them are like they're just trying new things. They're giving opportunities to people as well. Like, let the services be led by people who actually have friends and family outside of the church,
Yeah.
you know, who actually are like part of the rising generation, who have this new openness, who don't have the preconceptions of the past. Like, let's like break down what we've been doing and let's try something new, and let's give people opportunities that haven't had opportunities to be able to show like who the family of God should be and what the kingdom of God should look like.
Yeah.
So I think like throughout the rule book, like don't throw everything out, but be creative, and be free. Like, people want freedom. They want to be free. They don't want to be restricted. They want to like meet people, have fun, belong to something that's lively but also loving. So think about like, I would say think about balancing that. It doesn't have to be radical or like expensive. Like, it could be a cup of coffee and a conversation,
Yeah.
and noticing someone new that's walked in, and that could be enough.
Yeah. I love that. And I think one thing our church does really well is allowing the diversity of the church and the city to reflect the diversity of services, speakers, kind of out there doing their thing. And I like that.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
Like last term, Johnny set his hand on fire.
What?
I remember that sermon. It's brilliant.
He set his actual hand on fire. Where was I?
You know, with those... It was student night.
Oh, student
night. You know,
night.
with that like weird like foam thing, the soap, and then you can set your hand on fire.
Oh, he did it on purpose?
Yeah. Lauren was throwing chocolate across, throwing chocolates out. Massive bowl and just throwing chocolates.
Gosh.
Yeah, that was like the Valentine's Day something, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mate.
And it was all about God's love for us and different ways he showed it. But I remember it.
Yes.
So it worked.
It worked.
Just try these random things.
Never know.
Yeah. So one thing that characterises our generation, as you've said and we've spoken about, is the fact that we are very outspoken, and you know, churches are trying these new things, etc., etc. So, how, if at all, do you think churches should adapt to like the open-ended questions that young people have without diluting core truths?
That is really good, because I think everything has to have a strong foundation. And those core truths are so important, because having a strong foundation, a consistent foundation, is so key. But I think now more than ever, we have to welcome open conversation, especially when people are coming into the church with unchurched backgrounds, who have loads of questions, who are living their own lives and have been doing so for a long time. We have to be able to like welcome openness and to allow room for doubt. Like, anything worth believing in is worth questioning. And I think that it's really healthy to be able to give people the freedom to use their voice, because people use their voice around Jesus. You know, they doubted, they feared, they questioned, they worried.
And even his closest followers, right, doubted that he'd even done what he said he'd done.
Mate,
so if that points to the fact that any of us are allowed to question and doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so good, isn't it? And we could take that example, like, again, like that's there in the Bible for a reason, because to show that that's human nature. It's human nature to question, isn't it?
Yep.
So like, yeah, I guess we have to be mindful of creating spaces in churches where people can be able to question and not have to feel bad for like just saying exactly what they think.
Yeah. Cool. So final advice to a young person who was like, hey, I might want to be interested in Jesus, what would you say?
Firstly, I'm a young person. I find that incredibly offensive, but I'm not meant to get offended. But what was the question again? So all I heard was a young person, and I absolutely lost it. Never been to Rome, and you're old, all right? So why are you here? Give some advice, and then get out.
What would you tell someone who was interested in Jesus but didn't know where to start?
Yes. I would say, come along to church, or come along to an alpha, or go and have a chat in the pub with a friend that you know has a faith and is a Christian. And start the journey of exploring. If you think there is something more, it could be that there is something more. And everything you have to gain in life by exploring that, there's like so much that you have to gain. So I would just say, like, don't discredit the voice inside your head or in your heart that says like, maybe there's more for me. Maybe I'm here for a reason. Maybe there's like real true love out there for me. I would say like lean into that, because we explore everything else in life. So why not explore that? Meaning, life, purpose. It's so worth it.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
I don't really think I said anything there.
You did.
Oh, yeah. What would you say?
What you said.
No, what would you say? I want to know.
I'd say, you know, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah.
So why not? And if you have a friend who loves debating and is going to make you say why you don't believe in something, then you should probably find out your points anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, I also think just on a balance of probabilities type thing, there are so many people around the world who do believe in Jesus and believe in something else being out there and have this faith.
Yeah.
And there are people who go all the way from, you know, like academics and like professors to everyone, like your local like coffee shop worker, for example.
Yeah.
So on a balance of probabilities, everyone can't be wrong, right? Like, so maybe we should have a look and, you know, maybe then you'll be able to just be like, haha, you're all wrong, but you might not.
Yeah, you might not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love C.S. Lewis, and he's one of my favourite like people because I did the same thing that he did, which is essentially in trying to disprove God's existence, realise that he did exist. So, yeah. Watch The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Why not?
What a good plug.
What is alpha in 30 seconds or less?
Alpha is that opportunity to explore.
Really?
Sorry, let me say that again, because my voice sounds like I've cold. Alpha is that opportunity to explore the big questions of life, faith, and meaning. No question off limits. No opinion out of bounds.
Yeah, they stole my slogan.
Yeah, that is the Alpha slogan, mate. That is it. I thought you did it on purpose. It's different.
Questions about limits, answers about judgment. We're in the same like vibe. But
I thought that was on purpose.
not exactly. I mean, they're cousins, not sisters. Okay.
Wow. They've only been saying that for like 25 years. Longer.
Are you trying to get me to catch a lawsuit, Angie? Like, what's
Come to sabotage. No. Yeah, so when you come along to Alpha, you get to listen to some live music, you get to have a really good free meal, an opportunity to hear a talk on an interesting aspect of life or faith, but the most important part of Alpha is a chance to sit and discuss what you think with a small group of people. That's the best part of the night by far, or the morning if you did morning Alpha. Yeah, and people come to Alpha through all different means and ways, and a lot of people are coming having never explored faith but feel like they're spiritual, or some people feel like, you know, they've tried everything. They've tried, there's a few people this term that have like tried Buddhism and really gone down that route and have tried a lot of spirituality and have decided that nothing is satisfying, nothing is working, and so they're trying Alpha and they're trying to explore the Christian faith. Can I end with one story? Yeah. I have a friend who was, this sounds super spiritual, but I have a friend who was praying, and she had this sense to go to this random restaurant that she never goes to. So she was like, this is weird. Why would I do that? But she decided to go, and she got there and there was no one there. So she came back a few minutes later, and one of the girls that works there had opened it up, and she went in, sat down, and then realised that she was getting a call. She took the call, and the person said, oh, listen, you've just had an interview for a job. You got the job. And she was like, great, this is amazing. And then she realised she was in this empty restaurant with nobody was here except for the person who worked there. And so she was like telling this girl like, oh, I just got this job. I've been waiting ages for like the right job for me. And she was like, oh, great, where do you work? And she was like, oh, I work for a church. And so they had this really interesting conversation. And this girl was like, oh, I mean, I don't go to church. I wouldn't really go to church. I don't believe there's a God, but I'm very spiritual. And so my friend was like, oh, well, why don't you try Alpha? And so they've been coming along this term. And the transformation that I've seen in this girl's life is like amazing. Like we've all become really good friends, and I wouldn't say that she's ending Alpha like having had this dramatic transformative moment with God, but from going from a place where she like completely had no knowledge of church and no belief in God to going through the weeks, she started praying, she started like reading the Bible, she makes the most notes after every Alpha talk, and she's had a lot of fun. So I would just say, like, you never know what can happen, even if you don't believe in anything at all. Like, it's always worth exploring.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. So anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
Yeah. So thank you, Angie, for
That's a long
joining us
story,
and opening this conversation. No, it's good.
Say your last bit again, sorry.
Thank you for joining us today and opening up this conversation. It's super inspiring to hear like all these things, all these stories, and see so many young people embracing Jesus. And it gives me hope for what's next. And that's really exciting. So if you're listening, feeling curious, inspired, or just have questions, then ask them, send us an email, DM, etc. All of them get replied to. And this is the end of the first season, which is crazy. It feels like a fever dream. It's been so much fun, but we want to come back for season 2. And at the end of this season, I would challenge every single one of you guys to try an Alpha, to have a look at a church and maybe just ask some questions or go to them with some ideas that you've had, things that you've agreed with that I've said or haven't agreed with, and let me know. And yeah, we'll see you for season 2. So thank you so much for joining us for this entire season. It has been amazing. It's been super fun. So questions without limits, answers without judgment. Thank you for joining the conversation, and we will see you next season. Bye.